Meetup is about finding the best ways to cater to the luxury markets. The luxury brands are now more and more discovering what's possible with digital embellishments. We're seeing more and more of these short runs, a lot of variable data, a lot of numbered runs being done using digital. I know our friend Al here has done a lot of work with some really nice companies for example, yachting and private jets. And I'm really looking forward to those discussions. But let me hand this off to our host, Mr. Ken Huizinga. Ken, how you doing today, buddy?
Great, Kevin. How are you? Good morning.
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. So tell me a little bit from an operator standpoint, kind of what some of the things that you've kind of identified that maybe luxury companies do a little bit different than the rest of the brands that you work with.
Obviously, we want to think a lot about enhancing texture because what's going to make that package stick out or that print stick out is going to be a little bit of extra dimension, a little bit more contrast between foils and coatings and laminates, and it's also going to be likely a bunch of small details, right? We always say to kind of stay away from those from the design aspect, but there are going to be times when you need a fine key line around something, or you need a specialty font, or um, you need to coat maybe a little bit more than you normally would in order to get that look that you're achieving. So from an operator point of view, you really have to spend a lot of time taking a look at making sure everything's perfect, right? When you get to your machine in the morning, there's a lot of things you can do to prepare the machine to be sure that, let's just say a soft touch laminated print, which now you're talking about, instead of maybe throwing away pennies or wasting pennies on prints, you could be wasting dollars, literally. So your soft touch laminates, especially the Lux matte and the Lux Soft Touch, those are awesome. I mean, the machine loves them. The type stands up great. The details are excellent, and those are that's going to be your best print surface by far.
So
So, but when you're working with that laminate, it's super expensive. So you're going to want to just walk up to your machine. You're going to want to make sure your sensors are perfect. Your print belt has no printing on it, none of that extra varnish. Your environment is super clean. Your carriage is super clean. All these little things that maybe you can let go on a normal job-to-job basis, you need to make sure that before your job gets to you, that these things are perfect.
sure.
And it's super important because at the end of the machine, right, when you from end to end, you could have 6 or 7 sheets going through, and you're going to find out that all of them are bad because it was a defect because you didn't do your maintenance and you didn't think about it ahead of time.
Right.
So you don't want that to happen. And there's some other things we can do on setup too, but let's just talk about that first, right? You've got everything needing to be super clean, and that's an easy thing to do. And we could also talk about ways to get the print detail up. But let's start with that. Any of you have experience with that? Any of you do you know what you have to do to prepare the machine for that?
So I think that's a good question. I want to hear from Al, and I don't know if anybody here was on Matt's designer meetup call that we had last week with all the designers when we talked about brand and luxury companies. The top things that came out from a design standpoint for these luxury companies was number one, overwhelming use of matte foils and matte effects. So when you're dealing with these luxury companies, all the designers were saying that their luxury brands do not like the shiny stuff. They do not like the shiny varnish. They do not like the shiny gold. And so what they've been doing is buying matte gold, matte silver, matte copper, matte rose gold, all these matte effects, because for whatever reason, those companies really enjoy that. Number two thing that came out was the max thickness. Luxury companies really preferred that 30 to 40 micron thickness range. They said anything above that 40 micron range look a little too blingy for them, a little bit too plasticky for them. And one of the people that was on there said one of the cool things that they were doing, and this might be a nice little idea for anybody on this call who's an operator, is that they've been running aqueous soft touch on their flood coater on top of their digitally embellished sheet. So that's number one. Really, really weird. That came out. So they were basically running a digitally embellished sheet like you do, and then running it through their flood coater, putting matte varnish on top of it. And the varnish doesn't look plasticky. It looks like embossed paper because it's the same texture as the rest of the sheet. So that's a really cool effect. I think Harrison Bruno is doing a lot of stuff on that right now, kind of that idea. But the effect is really fantastic. And then the third thing that came out was the use of matte laminates in a really weird and creative way. Was that a lot of these luxury companies enjoy putting foil. So imagine first pass on your machine, you're putting foil down. Second pass, you're putting a matte laminate, not a matte aqueous this time, a matte laminate on top of your foil. And then the third thing is then you run it back through your jet varnish or your Curio Shine, and then you drop varnish on top of wherever the foil was under the laminates, and that foil then just pops out in a really, really unique way. So some of these luxury companies are experimenting. They're big fans of variable, so limited editions is a big part of what they're trying to push. So 1 out of 1,000, this is limited run, this is a versioned run. But really, the big thing was earthy tones, matte effects were some of the key things that came out. Al, I don't know if you're kind of seeing some of that stuff. You work with a lot of luxury companies too. What are you seeing?
Well, I tell you what, do all the experiments. Everything you've mentioned, we've done before. I'll say one thing that the one thing that all of these companies love is they love to have the soft touch laminates that we put down. Everybody likes to be able to be handed something, and as soon as somebody touches it, they go, "Wow, what's that?" But we've done where we put down foil and then we put the soft touch over the top of it. But I think Kim was saying, I agree. Everything that off of our jet varnish loves to go down on top of the soft touch laminate. It's just a great fit, and so we're experimenting with a lot of different things, and and as you and I talked about yesterday, we're looking to get AI involved to where we have experts even beyond what we have, such as an AI bot that can help us do this. But yeah, we're doing pretty much everything.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And from an operator point of view, everything that we're talking about here actually makes it easier. The matte foils are super easy to use. A lot of the glossy golds and silvers they pick, you get holes, you get pinholes, you get defects. But the matte foils, there's just something about them. I don't know if it's the low melt on the emulsion. I don't know if it's the thickness of the amount of metal that they put down. I'm going to guess that has something to do with it, right? Because to get it shiny, you got to pump it up and put coatings on it. But the matte foil lays down beautifully at low temperatures. And I really like the idea of putting aqueous over the top of the foil because the luxury brands, I'm sure, are going to want that product to stand up well. It's going to come in a box with maybe 100 other boxes. It's going to be put on a shelf. People are going to handle it. It's going to pick up human finger oil and things like that. An aqueous coating over the top of it is just an absolute brilliant idea if you can get it to adhere and you can get it nice and strong because it's going to make sure that end product ends up coming perfect to the customer.
Yeah. How about the Foresight group? Can you guys hear us okay now? I'm guessing that you guys fixed the technical issue.
Yeah, we can hear now. So yeah, we're here, and
Awesome.
we are absolutely 100% brand new to all of this. So we're just basically trying to absorb some information and gain some knowledge. So
Awesome.
we'll probably do a little more listening than chiming in, but
Well, feel free to ask questions, guys, because we've all been there, right?
yeah,
Ken has been in your position. Al has been in your position.
yeah.
And we all remember what those first couple of months were like. And I'm sure that you guys are. And by the way, I think Ken's going to be teaching your session next week. So you guys are going to get some more production tips and tricks with him.
Okay.
Please feel free to ask questions as we go
Yeah.
along.
Right on.
Um,
And on that, as far as these matte foils, what are the recommended vendors that you guys are using for these matte foils that you're having the best luck with?
It's a good question. So
Hey,
go
okay.
ahead, Ken.
No, I've had a decent amount, especially when it comes to matte foils. Crown is a really great source for those.
Okay.
They have, they've got just about everything. They have a lot of specialty foils that these designers like to use. The translucent ones, the cracked ice, the holographic look foils. They're an interesting add to a product to catch the eye, and they carry all those as well. I'm drawing a blank as to Sammy Chen's company. Kevin, what's her? Yeah, K Laser. K Laser, I use them out of California. Sammy Chen is a very knowledgeable guy, and their foils to me were bulletproof. From a technical point, they go down, they behave like you expect them to, they don't wrinkle. To me, there's something just a little different about their foil. Um, and obviously, there's many others. I know Crown carries stuff now, or I mean, Great Western carries foils for them. And actually, they all do. If you communicate with them, they'll tell you what they have, but a lot of them are going to have standard stock colors and they might not have a lot of the mats.
Right.
So the default for me was if I had something that was a little out of the ordinary, I would go to Crown first. Just be warned that if you like one of their specialty foils, it's likely you may buy as much as 5,000 square feet. So you may have to buy 5 rolls of it. But that's not necessarily that hard to use up if you push it, right? If you bring it in, you talk to your sales staff, say, hey, we've got a lot of this stuff on hand. What do you guys think? Can we make some samples and can you guys go out and push this product so we can keep it in stock?
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sharing my screen right now, and I put this as a Google Doc for you guys if you guys want. We have one of our JETforce community members who sent us this to share it with other US users. This is kind of all the different foils that they have found that works well. So there's the Kerrs, there's a K Laser, which is what you were talking about just now, Ken. We have Crown. Infinity has good matte foil capabilities as well, and you'll definitely see a Great Western, Foil Co, General Foil, and of course there's the MG Iconic and Minolta foils that are out there. So you guys click on that link in the chat, and you should have access to all of this stuff for you guys to look at.
Yeah, and if you can get the foil straight from KM, that's great because it's consistent and they've tested it. They may have done more testing with, adhering to the varnish than anybody has. So if that works for you, it's going to be easy to get, and they'll actually help you out if it doesn't work. Where some of these other foil companies might go, well, we've had luck on some of the older machines or the newer machines, but we haven't maybe tested it on yours. You could run into that. So it's a great default foil to stick with what KM and MGI have created.
Okay.
I have a question. What is
Go
your application? Are you doing mostly packaging for these things? Or, because we do a lot of direct mail, variable data. Are you finding that as this application or pretty much packaging?
Well, I'll just answer that. We do almost no packaging.
Okay.
I mean, what we use it for primarily would be the front covers of high-end brochures. So we got clients that sell a lot of very expensive things in the marine industry, private, business jets, things like that, and pretty much it's on the cover of most of these things we print. And but here's a little exception. This is an envelope, and you really can't see much about it, except I will tell you, it's got it looks like colored foil here. It's raised up. All the dots here, you can run your fingers across it. It's got a soft touch laminate on it. And when we send out our packages with the, we call it our lookbook that has all the different examples in there. It goes out in this package. And we also will customize the envelope for a particular customer. We have a client's name here. We printed it in their color, and we have the person we're sending it to's name on that envelope.
Nice.
So we can personalize it. We just want to make sure when this thing shows up in somebody's office, and we always send it out in a FedEx package. We don't mail it. When they get it, they touch it, and then they realize, wow, this is different. And that's what we're trying to get them to do with their printed materials. If they like the way what we send them, if they notice the touch, the feel, they're more likely to be our clients. And usually, if we get them to send us a print file and we do some embellishment on that print file and send it back to them, whenever we get somebody to agree to that, they almost always become a client.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, if you guys are new to this, anything you can put in a customer's hand is just exceptional. I mean, if your estimators see a job cross the table and it's just begging for embellishment, right? You can see that maybe their certification has a gold seal, or there's a headline that just would be perfect to be embellished. Take any free time you have, create that sample, and then maybe either throw it in with a finished job or have a salesperson take it over to them and say, we know what you ordered, we know the price you're willing to pay. We want you to be aware that for not a whole lot more, you can do this. And once you do something like that and you put it in their hand, it's almost a no-brainer. They're like, yeah, I don't want the old one anymore. I want that pretty one. So that remember too.
And Ken, I just wanted to make a point here to the guys from Foresight and Al. This might be good info for you too. We did a study in 2023. We just did a new study in 2025. In 2025, the top applications for digital embellishments in North America was number one, business cards, and believe it or not, number two was direct mail. So direct mail wasn't even on the top 5 list in 2023. And right now, it's the second most popular application based on our research that we've put out in conjunction with what they think. Third was brochures, fourth was books, and fifth was point of sale displays. So that's kind of where the market is trending. All these 10 applications that you're seeing up here are strong, but for sure these green ones are really kind of surging right now.
Yeah, I'll say this on direct mail. We use it on direct mail, but we're using it primarily on direct mail projects that are, not your 50,000, 60,000, but smaller runs.
Yeah.
Because it's very targeted mailing, and so yeah, direct mail is up and coming, and of course business cards. Everybody wants to hand a business card out, and when the client grabs it, they go, "Wow, what's that?"
Yeah.
So we do them on tons of business cards, but direct mail is up and coming.
Yeah, that's a great point, Al. I mean, when it comes to direct mail, though, you also have to keep in mind that when people go and get that out of the mailbox, you need to do something to make your product stand out. So don't be afraid to use it on direct mail. It performs great in direct mail. The post office even offers a reduction in price for things that are embellished. So if you look into that happens as well. But Kevin, what you got there?
This is a piece by a company in Phoenix, right next to you that you know quite well, Serious Graphics, about an hour from where you are, Ken. They are starting to really do a big number with the casinos on direct mail. And so I kind of just wanted to show off this piece. It's matte laminated. And if you look at it, this is gold foil. This is red foil. This is silver foil with varnish on top of it to give it kind of a wet effect. And this over here, this is all holographic foil for the numbers. And what's really cool about this is, yeah, the digital embellishment's fantastic. But if you come here and it says, pull it here, it has like a
Wow.
fully embellished. That's really cool. I don't know how they did this. I've never seen this before.
Yeah.
But anyways, just wanted to.
That's really
And from an operator point of view, I think I want to give out a couple of tips here, especially when it comes to variable data. You're going to go to your toner-based machine, and you're going to print the postcards 4 up, and you're going to look at that first sheet, and you're going to see the front to back, it doesn't quite line up, or something's not perfect. We need to do a cleaning, or the transfer belt's got a mark, whatever it is. You want to save all those sheets. Those are super important. They're important for setup, making sure that you're being able to stretch your varnish and put it where it needs to go. You can test the machine to make sure that the heads are working properly and that all your elements are coming out good. They're even good, even after you run them through the jet varnish, if you have imperfections in them, save them for the cutting, right? You're going to put them through either your single sheet cutter, or your cutter operators are going to set up a program on the guillotine cutter. These are really important sheets to hold on to. And if you don't have any, print them. Don't make them make a mistake on the first 4 sheets of a live job. Go ahead and print the first 4 sheets, an extra set of them, and put them on top of the job, so when they get to the Curio Shine or jet varnish, they're ready to go. It's going to make it really, really easy for the operator. And variable data too. I mean, everybody's name's going to be on there. You're going to put some information on there that's going to change. Make sure that you provide sheets for those too, because those are a little bit different, right? Mary's is going to go first, John's is going to go second. It might be a little bit longer name. It might not fit as well. So keep those. And getting back to what Al said, a lot of your runs, especially for casinos, they have a budget they're trying to work with, but sometimes the budget is bigger than a static job. So instead of asking them to push it out two, three, $4,000, maybe talk to them about their most active 150 clients, right? Those high rollers, those people that are in all the time or spending a lot of money with the casinos. Get that list and maybe just embellish 150 cards in the run instead of multiple thousands. It's an easy sell, right? Because they know those people are already spending money. The last thing they want them to do is stop. So make those people feel important.
And it's kind of funny because the folks from Foresight just got installed. They're brand new. And first job out of the gate was like the most complicated variable data job out to man. Did you guys figure that out, by the way? Are you guys all good on the variable data side, or are you guys still working on it?
Work in progress.
It's still a work in progress, but we're getting there.
Way to jump in with both feet. That's really brave of you guys. You'll get it. You'll be much better for it when you're done. So don't give up. You can get it.
Yeah. It wasn't really us jumping in. It was more of us being pushed in, but
Salespeople are always going to sell the most difficult thing, right? They can't, they can't keep it simple.
I'd like to give off one more tip if I could. One of the things that I would do is postcards sometimes would be 4 up, and you might ruin one in the bottom corner, and that could be number 312. What I like to do is put a small record number outside the cut area down in the corner of the sheet, because that's number 1 sheet, and on the back will be record number 1 on top, record number 2 on the bottom. You go through your 1,000 sheet run, and the operator has a problem with sheet 399. It's super easy to go back to your file, either if you're on a KM1, an IS-29, a Konica, a Sharp, whatever it is, go to record 319, print that record. And it's much easier for them to find. The last thing you want them to do is be flipping through a PDF trying to figure out what page that particular record is, because for the beginning of the stack, 1 through 250 is going to be easy. The other thing you can do is do them in lifts of 250, right? That way you know that between record number 1 and record number 250, that's going to be in your first file.
That's
so you can go back and find it a little bit easier. But these are things that are going to save you a lot of time as an operator when you have to go back and get it.
So batching.
Yeah, batching. Prepress really doesn't like it when you go back and you hand them that card, because they have to do the same thing. They'll go into the PDF, they'll search for the record number and try and find it. So it's going to happen, but you can do things to batch and make it much easier.
That's smart. Okay, what else when it comes to running jobs for? Do you feel that luxury companies are, I guess, significantly more stringent on their acceptance criteria, or do you think they're on par with the other printers? I mean, based on your experience, do they require something above and beyond, or is that like a myth?
Well, I'll answer that, because it's kind of an interesting thing here. It's not that they require it; they're more susceptible to buy it if we offer it. But I thought one thing that was pretty interesting to me is, because we do some work in the aircraft industry, I went to the Oshkosh Air Show. I went there, I think it's not this past, well, maybe a year and a half ago. And I expected, and we were picking up brochures from all these aircraft manufacturers and also people that are selling things that are related to aircraft, which you're talking about big dollars. And I expected to see a ton of embellished printed matter there. And I picked up about 90 pieces, and only one had embellishments on it. And what that told me is that this market is still wide open. I mean, we think about a lot of companies using it all the time because a lot of our customers use it all the time because we've introduced it to them. They love it. And, it certainly makes it difficult for somebody that doesn't have the equipment to take business from us. But I think it's important to realize this is still an open field out there. And there's lots and lots of opportunity because most printers don't have the equipment. And as a result, it's not being pushed everywhere. It's popular, but you'll be surprised to find how many people you walk up to or you're selling something to that go, hey, this is cool. I've never really seen that before. So, you know, it's still a wide open field, and we all need to take advantage of it.
Yep. The value era.
I feel from an operator standpoint, there's an awful lot of pressure, right? You want everything to be perfect. You know, these people are paying a premium for their product. So you're going to have some defects. Things happen, powder, air, dirt, things happen. If the defect isn't huge, a minor defect, one that just irritates you, but it's not there. These products are so nice that they're looking at things that maybe an operator isn't. So don't stress out, right?
Yeah.
A little tiny speck, it's going to be okay. They're not going to see that. They're going to be looking at that cool soft touch or the cool effect that they tried to create as designers. But on the other hand, you don't want this. This isn't the kind of work that you started at the beginning and you get distracted, right? Focus, push that noise out of the way, stand at the delivery. You want to make sure that you're looking at those sheets as they come out. The last thing you want to find out is now you've ruined 100 digital pieces that have variable data, that have laminate, that have a lot of, I mean, the labor is going to be huge to reproduce it all. It's going to have 3 or 4 touches to come back. So really be super attentive at the delivery of the machine. Watch it extra closely. If you're going to have stress, that's where to have it. The other stress you can take out. You can take out in your downtime. You can test laminates. You can test foils. You can test temperatures. You can test pressure. You can test all these things so that when you get a job that's really high end, you know you've got it figured out already. You've already taken away a lot of the things that can cause you problems because you know what works. So don't be afraid to test ahead of time and take those stresses away before you actually get to your production run.
I love that piece of advice. And one of the best pieces of advice you dropped there, Ken, based on all the years that I've been in this market, was the fact that you guys are going to have as operators tunnel vision in most cases. And your acceptance criteria, whether you know it or not, is likely going to be exponentially higher than what your customer is willing to accept. Meaning that very often you can have a small little blemish or a small little thing. I don't sweat it. That's not necessarily gonna have the blowback that you're gonna have. If that's what you're saying, Ken, I've seen it happen 1,000,001 times. It's always, you know, you're always going to be harder on yourself than your customers are going to be on you when it comes to a lot of this stuff. So
And some defects can be fixed. If you got a sheet with a few sheets with lines, go ahead and put them back through again. Sometimes it'll completely disappear. It'll refract. It'll go away when you put it a little bit more varnish down. You know, don't put it back through at 80 microns, but put it back through at 30 microns, drop a little bit more varnish on it, and you might be able to save pieces that have a lot of value. I think by nature of operators, your exterior shine and your embellishment operators are already by nature some of your more meticulous operators. And they probably have a good understanding of how it was done the old-fashioned way and what the customers expect. You're already on high alert. So take a breath, relax, don't panic. And sometimes defects go away too. You might see it in 1 or 2 sheets. Wait, take a look. By the 3rd sheet, that orifice on that inkjet head may have already blown loose and you're stopping a machine for no reason. So just try and be patient but attentive. Attentive, I think, is the key word.
Hey, I'd like to touch on one thing regarding soft touch laminates.
Yep.
We have run some heavy dark solids on a toner press before, and because the quantities were so short, this is actually before we had our KM1, but we also had the soft touch laminate. And you'd look at the sheet and you'd think, okay, the client's really this solid doesn't seem smooth enough. It seems like it's got some streaks. Whenever we would put the soft touch laminate over that, every flaw in the solid disappeared.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we did not have to, we didn't have to worry about, because soft touch laminate, it's like magic. It just, everything, the solids now looked fantastic.
Now tell me, Al, do you have a Corona unit on your machine or no?
No, if you're talking about our soft touch laminate, what we do is I have a Nobelus sleeker, and it's good for we put down foil laminates, and we put down we put down soft touch, we put down scuff resistance on the Nobelus, and it works great.
But
And
on your jet varnish, do you have? I don't know if they make them for your model. I don't remember if they make. Do you have like a Corona treatment module where it like zaps the sheet before it goes in so that it can like basically normalize the surface tension of the inks on the sheet or no?
you know what? We may very well have that. I just don't know that. And I'm not an operator.
For foresight, I don't know, not be familiar. Sleeking either.
If you have after feeder before margin table, if you have some element that has rollers or some just box, and if you put it on, you have zap sound, then you have it.
Yeah. Yeah, Marco is one of our best technical resources, by the way. Marco, thanks for jumping on the call here and explaining where the Corona is. And many times if, for example, a KM1 ink that has a very low dyne level, you're gonna maybe if you go directly onto those inks, have lines, have dots, have pinholing because the varnish is not spreading correctly. What that Corona unit does, or what that laminate does for you, Al, is kind of just make that surface much more receptive to flowing correctly when you put the varnish on top of it, and also adhering so that it doesn't necessarily scratch off when you scratch it, which in my opinion, I think bite or adherence is probably one of the top criterias that a lot of these brands are going to be looking at from an acceptance standpoint. So that's really important that if you're doing a box for Dior, that it doesn't say Dio when it gets to the customer, and that R doesn't scratch off. So really, that's one of the things that I think is probably really important for us to maybe talk about how to increase that adhesive capability of the foil so that it doesn't scratch off easily. And any feedback on that, or any ideas on whether or not that's any tips or tricks on adhesion, Ken or Al or Marco?
Well, I think everything's got to be tested, right? Especially when it comes to high-end clients. You need to get that pearl paper in. You need to get the mirror board in. You need to really harass your salespeople, your paper sales guys, to give you as many samples as you can, because you're going to find some things. And Foresight's going to get my lecture on dyne level next week. But everything is not receptive to the varnish. If you think about sometimes a drop of water in a Teflon pan, the way it rolls around, you can have some substrates that act like that, where you try and put it down, nothing that you can do to make it work. But there's a sweet spot for that. We'll talk more about that later. But yeah, you need to test this stuff, because some of it's going to stand up good, some of it's going to fall. The Corona unit's great. It changes the charge of the sheet, and it allows you a much wider latitude of substrates.
And for KM1 prints, you need the Corona because the tension is so low because of the polymer of the ink. You need Corona treatment before, or any other treatment that will boost up the energy of the surface.
Yeah. If you want to go straight onto KM1 prints, typically that's
Yep.
what you. Foresight, you guys have a KM1, right? You guys just got it installed or no?
Is it a Canon?
Yes.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
like
with that particular ink, you can get away with. I've had decent amount of luck with that ink. If you go up to 80 microns, sometimes the customer isn't paying for that. But depending on what level of dryness it is, I know you all think that when the sheets come off a KM1 they're dry, but they're actually still a little bit wet underneath, because there's dimension to that ink. You're putting down colors that kind of build on one another. You can actually feel the dimension on that sheet. So sometimes if you have to get them right to embellishment press, you can get away with a higher level of coating. And if you have a Corona unit, which I'm going to guess they do have, that's a double whammy in a good direction.
That's a good point. How about paper choices? So you guys talked a little bit about paper. We know that today putting varnish onto an uncoated paper will have very similar effect of putting water onto a sponge, right? So there's different ways you can get around it, but there's some new papers that have come out from Nina that look uncoated, that feel uncoated. Same thing as the Fedrigoni Tintoretto line, where you can actually kind of embellish directly onto these uncoated looking and feeling papers. And I think that's something that a lot of these luxury brands are leaning hard into is sustainability, right? So if you're looking at if you go to look at basically any cosmetics, any um, perfume or cologne box or anything like that, typically it's going to use an uncoated material. So my question to the group is, have you guys played with some of these new Nina papers that have come out for digital embellishment, or have you not yet had a chance to play with it?
I haven't, but I was in a meeting and the people from Nina were there, and you know, years ago we used to buy a ton of Nina paper. I've been to the Nina mill back in the old days when mill trips were a big deal for printers. But you know, I am going to look into that. You know, I'll say this: a lot of our customers, they like we have a 6-color 40-inch press that also is a UV press, and a lot of our clients like to either have us print with UV inks on uncoated paper or the KM1 on uncoated paper, because the images pop out as if they're on a coated sheet, because the ink gets, the UV makes the ink dry on top of the sheet. So that's very popular. And I would just say this, I know it's a little bit off subject. The vast majority, I would say 99.99% of the UV we run on our 40-inch 6-color press is all on uncoated paper.
Wow.
We don't do anything else except zapping that ink on uncoated paper, and our high-end clients love it. And you know, the KM1, because it's UV as well, it works along the same lines.
Wow. Wow.
And uncoated papers, although they can act like a sponge, I think it's important to remember that if you're putting down toner or you're putting down UV ink, it is sealing that spot. So if you remember old school thermography, right, you could have those bumps in printing. If you have some solid areas with a lot of toner, a lot of UV ink, you likely can put varnish on the embellishment press on top of some of that print. You got to be careful so that it doesn't fall off. You might want to shrink it a little bit so that it can just stay on top. But you can enhance the gloss even further. Let's just say you had like your logo on the background there, Foresight Group. You might, if you printed your logo on a piece of uncoated paper, likely on every one of those letters, you could put a little bit of varnish, and it might make it pop a little bit more. But there are manufacturers now, and Harrison Bruno is one of them, that are testing an awful lot of coatings to uncoated sheets that my guess is, although their machine does this, they may end up coating even some more papers in the future that you can buy retail and do the printing and get the uncoated paper to work.
You know, let me just touch on one other thing too. When we print, like, you can't tell this right now, but this is just black ink, red, orange ink, purple ink, but we just printed it, and we put the varnish over the top of that, and it looks as if we have colored foils here. So you can get the colored foil. I can make anything look like it's a colored foil, even if it's just ink with the varnish on top of it.
Wow. Very cool.
And what substrate is that you printed those envelopes on?
This, looking at the inside of it, it's actually an uncoated sheet of paper. I think it might be a C1S, maybe 24-point board, something like that. Whenever
that was also soft. So that took away any challenge as far as printing, correct?
Yeah.
Ken, why is yeah, go ahead, Marco.
If you want to, as Ken said, there are workarounds for the varnishing of uncoated paper, but you are blessed because both of you have the KM1. As we see, the KM1 is on the surface, and like Ken has said, it will cover the surface, close the surface of the paper. You can use that also for the smooth edge of the foiling. Just try to find the tone of the color of the foil, then print it before the letters, let's say the letters, and then go, let's say, some brown color, that is the same optically as a gold foil. And then when you put the varnish and the foil on top of it, the varnish and the foiling on jet varnish should be 0.05 millimeters. We are in millimeters in Europe, inside that print. And then you will have the optically sharp edge of the foiling. Although when you look it with a lupa, you will see that the varnishing is not so sharp, but optically you will fool the eye of the people who is looking that to have the optically straight line of the foiling.
Love that. That's a great tip, Marco. Thank you. That's awesome.
That's
Yeah,
great.
some gray for the silver. Try to find, especially on Can 1, you can play a lot with the colors. With you can make your own Pantone colors for each foil that you use, basically, for the future, and you can deal the foiling on an uncoated paper like that.
That's great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Great. You guys have any questions so far? Anything good? Any ideas or things that you figured out or that you want to figure out?
Well, I'm going to contact Nina. That's something that we just need to look into. So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's more a feel. I mean, I've touched it. It's got a nice feel to it, and it does work. I think they're going to sell it as uncoated. It doesn't feel like a traditional offset sheet, but it's a kind of interesting in betweener.
I would also, I talked about the Nina one. Fedrigoni does one as well called
Touch.
Tintoretto.
Pedrigoni Touch.
Yeah,
Or Tintoretto. The Touch series for the digital is also.
Yes, it's the Touch special papers. It's called Tintoretto Touch from Fedrigoni. I'll try to find the link and put that in there for you.
I've never heard of that paper. I mean, is it?
GPA carries it here in North America.
GPA?
Yeah, GPA.
Okay.
So I'll look for it and I'll send the link.
I think GPA and Spicers are now hand in hand. So
yeah,
you might be able to go to your Spicers rep who will go to the GPA rep, yada yada.
Yeah. Okay, and then last little question. First off, I did want to make a point on what Ken said is that, and you'll learn this with more and more time, is the worst quality you're going to get on your machine is when you do one sheet at a time, right? And so I do need for the new guys at Foresight to remember this. When you do one sheet, look at it, try to fix an issue, a second sheet, wait a couple of minutes, a third sheet, just be aware that many times those will go away with production. These machines really love to run. The longer your run is, the better your quality will be, the better the temperature and the heads for the varnish are, instead of just spiking up, spiking down, spiking up, spiking down, having that, very consistent temperature in those heads. Just be aware that's something that you will see. So that's a little pro tip that I think went over a lot of people's heads, Ken, when you said it, but I did want to mention that was a really good point. And Marco, agree or disagree with that point?
Yeah, I agree. It's the inject procedure. So inject loves printing.
Right.
Yeah, because when a machine heats up and says, "Okay, I'm ready to print," it hit a level. It didn't level at a level; it hit a level. So then it spikes. It comes up. It comes down. Especially when it comes to your foil roller. Your foil roller is going to heat up. It's going to say it's ready to go. That rubber really hasn't stabilized. It hasn't swelled as much as it's going to swell. It grows a little bit and it settles in. And when that machine settles in, the temperature has come down from its spike. It's warmed up all its orifices. It flows better. When you get to sheet 100, that's when the thing is starting to print great. So do everything you can to keep it going, because when it hits that sweet spot, all the defects tend to disappear and it gets much easier for an operator.
That's a good point. Yeah. And then Ken, I just put it in the chat. This is the touch class that you're going to want. And just so you know, this is the paper from Fedrigoni that is now sold by our friends at GPA. Kind of funny story. This was developed as a label for the Italian olive oil industry, so that when the olive oil would actually drip off, it wouldn't absorb into the label and discolor the label. So this is kind of what they've created. So it's resistant to oil, and basically it looks uncoated as you can see here, but it is able to keep the varnish from getting absorbed in by repelling it just the right way. So that's the Touch Class, or Tintoretto, they call it here. So I just thought I'd share that with both of you guys.
Awesome.
All right, very good. Well, as we're coming up towards the end of our session here, I wanted to really thank you guys for coming. Is there anything else that we wanted to cover today? Any questions that you guys have? Maybe Al, with a little of experience, anything that you might want to tell the folks at Foresight who are just getting their venture started? Any words of advice?
I think it goes back to kind of what you said earlier, is you've got to just keep trying different things. I mean, we've had ours now for maybe 3 years. And so, at this point, we probably have experimented with just about everything. And once again, I'm not an operator, but I'm at a point right now where when we suggest things to our clients all the time, and they always work because we've already figured out how to do it. So it's more of us coming up. We're kind of leading what needs to happen here more so than our clients telling us. Because once again, most of our clients are not exposed to embellishments because most printers don't have them. So it's really us saying, hey, let us show you what would happen if we do this, this, and this. And we already know it's going to work. Now, I'm sure somebody's going to come along and throw us a curve, that something we haven't seen before or tried before. But, when that happens, we just try to figure it out.
Yeah, that's great advice. And I think back to some of the designers I've dealt with over time. You as the printer want to be the one to make the suggestions. That's why the testing is so important, because what the designers will do is to be like, I have this uncoated 70-pound writing grade seed paper that I want to print 11 colors on, and I want to put 3 kinds of foil and 2 kinds of varnish. And you need to be ready right away to say, whoa. No, you can't do that. But let me show you what you can do, because we're knowledgeable and we know, the limitations of this process at this point. So you want to be the source of that information. And obviously, Al is very much a source of that information. I would even reach out to him if you have questions, because
feel free to do it.
Learning curve down huge.
Yeah, I mean, you're just remember, I mean, we find ourselves, we're the ones that are driving the train. And when you're driving the train, you're not going to get yourself into a jam. But once again, when we have a designer that comes up with a crazy idea, it's a crazy idea because they've never really seen it, never really worked with us before. And at that point, they're fine hearing, no, you can't do that. That won't work. Because none of them think they're experts, because none of them have ever worked with us before. So you're the expert, and always make it clear you're the expert.
I love that. That's a fantastic piece of advice. And I think that's something that with Ken we talk about often is, look, the most important thing you can do from where you guys are right now is to help draw a box around what is possible with your machine, right? And make sure that your sales team understand what that box is comprised of. That box doesn't have 4-point type in it. That box doesn't have 70 pound paper. That box has certain things. The more you experiment internally, the more R&D that you guys do internally, the more you talk with other people that have this technology, like here on the JETforce, the bigger your box gets, right? But if I am in your shoes at Foresight, I'm actively trying to basically tell salespeople to stick in this box, because if I don't do a good job at that, what's the first 10 jobs they're going to sell? None of those first 10 jobs are going to be inside that box. They're all going to be on the exterior, and you guys are going to be trying to figure out how to do variable data on your first job. So I think that's so really important to do that. Yes, go ahead, Marco.
I heard one thing that one customer did when they got the jet varnish, when they tested all their materials learn a little about the technology and everything, when they start to be comfortable with the technology, they made the workshop for their
Yeah.
customers. So they gather the publishing houses. They do most of the book covers with the varnish and foiling, and they gather them and show them what is the possibilities in their facility, what is the possibilities of that machine. And the designers, they have 1 or 2 days the workshop for their customers, for
Yeah.
them to see the possibility of the machine, what is the boundaries, what is that box that Kevin said, and what is possible, what is not possible, what is tricky, what is easy, and everything else. And after that, now they are in the position when they get the design. No, let's do it like this, and this. It will be better. Then send the test file, the test print to the customer, and customer said, "Hey, it's everything is good. Do it like this." So now they propose when they see some design who is not meant to be for the jet varnish, or it doesn't pop out the design, they change the design and send the test piece, and most of the time they sign that design, and this is design that goes into production.
Yeah, that's a great tip. At my shop, we did lunch and learns. After about month 8, we did lunch and learns. We invited the clients in. We actually did it in front of the machine. We had tons of samples out. I did not show them the samples of the cool stuff we figured out that likely isn't going to be profitable, but I did show them, a lizard with bumps, and I did show them a Heineken bottle with water droplets, and I did show them things that's hit the super sweet spot and weren't too difficult, because then when they take those samples back, they incorporate those elements into their design. Now you've got a great relationship because of the things that you do and do well, and they don't have any of those crazy ideas put in their head. If you decide you can do 4 different colors of varnish and 3 different passes of foil later, go ahead and show them that. But the gut is to show them the coolest thing you've created, and don't do that. Keep that internal, because those jobs likely are going to be laborious and not profitable.
Yeah.
Keep it simple.
Yeah, and also show them what is not possible. Show them 4-point text, how it's behaving on normal paper, on uncoated paper, on laminated material. Show them what is happening when they change the substrate, when they change the background, if there is a toner, if there is no toner or ink from the can one. You need to test all of that, and also show them what is happening when they designer want to one point line and 3 or 4 lines and 1 point between them, and 80 microns of the thickness.
Kevin,
Everything of that you need to.
I think early on MGI had a sheet that basically had blocks of black ink, and it showed those flaws. You had a sheet that showed all the flaws, the things that don't work well, and then you had another sheet of what they do if they change the type to this and that. I don't know if those files still exist, but what a great thing we should come up with.
Yeah, maybe Pistorelli still has those files for sure.
I'll have to check. Yeah.
Sure. All right, guys. Well, listen, thank you so much for a phenomenal meeting. I'd like to thank our hostess with the mostest. Thank you so much, Ken, for leading a fantastic discussion. And a big thank you to Al, to the Foresight Group, to Marco, for joining us. We do this once a month with operators. We do this once a month with designers as well. So we get designers who don't have equipment to talk about how to design for this stuff. And we're now going to start doing this with salespeople once a month. So people who are out there selling this stuff, so they understand where to go to hunt for this, and really kind of exchange with one another what is going on in the market. So a big thank you all of you. This video will be posted for replay in the JETforce community forums. And we look forward to seeing everybody next month.
Hey, Kevin, let me say one thing real quick, if I could.
Sure.
When you and I were talking about that project you're going to help me on with Konica Minolta.
Yeah.
But while we were talking, a quote came in.
Yeah.
So now what's going to happen after you speak to some people, I'm going to be able to put an exact dollar figure on your clout.
It's funny. I had a good conversation with them last night, so they're going to work with you. Hopefully you get something.
Right.
No promises though.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. I hope you have a great
Thanks.
rest of your week.
Thanks
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. Bye.
Bye, guys. Bye.